What to know when buying a flipped house. I've done hundreds of deals and I know exactly where people are cutting corners and what you need to look for. In today's episode, what we're going to go over is how to tell if a house was flipped correctly, and what I mean is, was it done right? I'm going to give you certain things to look for, whether corners were cut or shoddy work was done. Stay tuned through the end, and I'm going to introduce somebody that is critical that you bring on when buying a flipped house. First of all, did they just do a hack job, or did they hire a general contractor to do the work? We get a lot of fly-by-night people that are doing bad jobs that you want to pay attention to. You do not want to be buying one of those. Here's the things that I look for when I'm looking at a house that maybe was being flipped. I want to know, is the person that did the job licensed and bonded? Did they do the job correctly? Is it more of an independent person? Is he licensed? And how many properties has he done? Are the things that they touched, do they need permits? So typically what I'll do also is I'll look at before and after photos. Maybe you could find an old MLS photo versus the new where walls moved. If so, did you need a permit to do that? Was it a structural wall? These are load bearing. If it's load bearing, these things need to have new structural supports done, and you'll need a structural engineer to sign off on it. A lot of people just start removing things and they don't necessarily know if they can or cannot be. That's why you need a licensed contractor or a structural engineer and or a permit for all of these things. So if you go into a house and you essentially see a lot of work done, like new electrical panel, you have new plumbing, walls have been removed, HVAC systems, things like that. Maybe there's an addition. These are things that could hinder it if you go to sell this property, or you may be forced as the new owner to pull the permits and do all these things. So make sure you check these things ahead of time versus getting yourself into a headache later. As an investor and flipper myself, I know what to look for. You want to make sure you're looking for the finished product. Are there big gaps? Do the doors not shut right? Do the cabinets not shut right? Are things off? You'll start calculating these as you walk through the property. These are a sign of things that are done behind the walls if you're seeing them in front. If you're seeing issues as you walk through the house, what you're not seeing is behind the walls and what kind of issues could be lying there. One of the things that I like to do for the new owner is I put together a binder. This binder consists of the contractors that we used. It consists of any permits that needed to be pulled, all of the warranty paperwork. It could be the color palettes that we have throughout the house, where we bought these things, so they know and understand where the warranty paperwork is. So if they ever do have an issue, they could contact them directly versus contacting you. And if you're looking at a house that has that binder put together, it usually means that person's pretty organized and has done this quite a few times. What I often ask for and what I recommend people do is pull the last 4 or 5 properties that they've done. Ask for them. You could also just look it up by their LLC if they're flipping them under their LLCs. You could look up those and even contact those people if needed. Ask for a referral. I gladly give people referrals of the properties I flip. In fact, sometimes people even say, hey, if you have someone that is looking at buying one of your properties, we'd be more than happy to talk to them. If it's an older house, things that they've replaced, has the electrical been updated? Is there a new panel? How much of the electrical was replaced? Do they have photos of the stuff that was replaced? Plumbing. Plumbing is a big one. Sometimes I see people, they rehab the entire house, electrical, everything, and then they get to the plumbing and they cut it short. They don't get rid of the galvanized metal, leaving it cracked. It could be brittle. I've made that mistake once. I'll never do it again. Now when I go in, I replace the galvanized steel and make sure that we have brand new sleeves throughout the house and to the street. What I recommend everybody do when they're buying a house that's been flipped, you want to make sure that you hire an inspector to go through that house and inspect everything. They're experts at this. They've done this before. They're going to catch stuff that you and your agent have not. These people do this all day long. You want to do this for a few reasons. One, you want to determine if what you're buying is actually a good product or if you're going to have a headache in the future. You don't want the headache. And if there are issues, you want them fixed by the contractor, by the seller, prior to closing. Doing this is going to help you flesh out any potential issues that are unforeseen. Could be the things behind the walls, under the ground, in the ceiling that you cannot see. Hiring a licensed professional to come out and flesh those things out is going to help you in the long run. Some of the stuff that I see that I just don't understand is I'll walk a property that's just being flipped and the floor is popping up, or all these different things that are issues. The handles are falling off. These are probably properties that you want to avoid. I went to go buy a property one time. It was under contract, and I noticed there was an addition done. So I couldn't find any paperwork on it. So I went down to the city to find out that this addition was done without permits. That was a pretty decent sized square footage of the house. So that deal needed to be totally renegotiated, and they did come down significantly on the price. This is something you need to look at. These are things that can potentially happen. So luckily, by doing that and doing my due diligence, I was able to save a lot of money on that and then turn it for a win in my favor later. So hey, I know some of you guys have been out there looking at properties. Comment below on some of the craziest stuff that you've seen people do when flipping a house and the finished products or lack of finished products that you've seen. So I'm gonna go back to the contractor because I think it's important if the property's been flipped and they hired a general contractor to be able to look at the work that that person's done and look up their license and look at any complaints that they may have. These are things that if other people are complaining about certain things, you're probably gonna be complaining about them too. Anyways, things to look for in the contractor when buying a house that's been flipped. So some of the stuff that I notice when I walk through houses and that I've seen throughout properties is maybe the floors popping up, baseboards coming off, the doors don't even sometimes close correctly, water's not working in some parts of the house, windows don't close. Maybe they even have different types of paint on the same wall, not intentionally. And one of the craziest things I saw was an addition that was done. It was permitted, but it was at an angle, and so they just tiled it and kept going. There's some crazy things that you see when people flip houses, and sometimes you could tell they just weren't paying attention to the details. Maybe you're buying this property as a vacation rental. If that's the case, click on the link below on how to make money with a vacation rental.